Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, you fantastic people, wherever you are. Welcome to Chibi Reads Reddit. I'm your host, DoomChibi99. Today's subreddit is r/entitled people. So sit back, get cozy, grab a drink, and let's read. Lady at the Holiday Resort, seeing you get the karma you deserve still satisfies me to this day. My family and I went to Crete on holiday, a lovely all-inclusive hotel close to the beach. Decent food, drinks, pool, sunbeds, all of the fun stuff. The hotel was mainly people from Denmark. Thinking back, I don't actually remember there being anyone else but Danish people. I'm from Denmark myself. There was a woman and her husband who also spent the week at the hotel when we were there. The husband was very quiet and seemed to just be dragged around by her. We got quite used to her complaining at dinner, her fussy way of marching up to the young holiday guides at the hotel and nagging at them. But we did not mind her much first. Me and my family love experiencing local culture, and while exploring the city we were in, on top of a tall hill at the back of the city, we found a wonderful local restaurant. It wasn't even really a restaurant, it was a Greek mama who cooked in her kitchen and let people eat on her terrace with a beautiful view of the sea. It was very humble, and the food honest and amazing, just delicious in every way. The mama was so caring and kind and kept coming to interact with us. It was amazing, so we ate a couple of times by her along this week. One night, coming back to the hotel, the Karen came marching up to us. "How dare you! What? You have paid for all your inclusive meals, and then you don't even eat dinner here? We paid for it so we can do what we want with it, and if we want to eat somewhere else, we can do that. Don't you think that's a massive waste?" "We're sure they are used to it." "Well, I think it's disrespectful and you ought to know better." Us just laughing and walking away from her. Well, the next day, her and her husband booked this hike through a gorge. Samaria Gorge? Something like that. You hike through this nature area, then you end up in a rural city. Only available either by walking there or taking a boat. Then, when arriving at the city, take a boat and then a bus to get back to the hotel. Well, lady and husband weren't exactly fit. The reason we know what happened is because her and her husband were missing at breakfast. When they arrived later, her thundercloud was so heavy and the whole hotel felt it. We then saw a very shaken hotel guide, a girl probably around 18 to 20 years old, coming up to comfort her. She told us the story. Well, Karen and husband had taken this hike. Halfway through, their bodies had given up, and they were far too in to return. So they had to wait for a couple of donkeys from the rural city to come pick them up and carry them to the end destination. Once arriving at the city, the last boat had sailed, and so they had to rent a hotel for the night on absolute overprice. And then next morning, take the boat and then the bus back. After this, while Karen was still like a thundercloud the rest of the holiday, we didn't hear more from her. She and her husband stuck to each other in the corners and were more quiet. I feel sorry for them ruining their own holiday, and I'm glad for us that they didn't ruin anything but have since just given us a lot to laugh about. Must be hard to be that entitled, and the poor husband, my mind goes up to him. Edit. Yes, I also have a lot of sympathy for the staff, tour guys, and the poor donkeys. Honestly, anyone who has ever had to interact with this woman. Edit 2. I found a link to the restaurant. If anyone has a chance, try it out. And OP posted the link. Been saying to my parents for years that my sister is very entitled, and they've ignored it until now. 17 female. My sister, 15 female, has always been selfish, ever since she was a child. She would never share, never do anything for anyone else, but would expect everyone to do everything for her. Obviously, as a small child, that's understandable, but she's never grown out of it. My parents have always dismissed this as just her personality. My sister has always been rude to me specifically. She demands I do things for her. She demands I make her food, pay for her things, do this and the other. But if I ask the same, she shouts at me. I don't remember the last time she's done anything for anyone out of the kindness of her heart. She just shouts. There's been times I've been violently ill and bedridden due to chronic illness, and I asked her if she could get me water, and she shouted at me. Even though I make her food and drinks multiple times a day, because if I don't, she just won't eat. She's also rude about everything. Anytime someone talks to her, she has a tone or shouts. She's so difficult. to have a conversation with. I say nice things and she's just rude to me and screams and is awful. My parents say nothing, but if I dare talk half as bad as she does, then I get told off. I've mentioned countless times the favoritism and how they see her as a perfect little angel, and they coddle her and rarely tell her off, and has never ever even given her discipline yet. And they have always done it to me. And they've acted like I'm the crazy one. She's so manipulative. She always plays the victim and turns my parents against me when she's in the wrong. I told my parents that one day people are going to have enough of her in the real world, and I'm going to have to cut contact if her behavior continues, and again, they didn't want to listen. I just thought it's because of sisterly love, and it's normal sister behavior and not concerning behavior. Until this week, I went out on a family reunion, and my cousin's 23 and 12 male humbled her. She was doing her normal, toxic behavior. She was talking to them rudely and rolling her eyes at them, and as she does every day to people, and my 23-year-old cousin wasn't having it. He was like, listen, if you keep acting like this in the real world, you're gonna get smacked. And she needs to cut her attitude, and my sister was just rudely like, sure, okay. As if he was stupid. My 12-year-old cousin added that he always feels like that she judges him because she always glares at him. Obviously, my parents couldn't deny this, and it was actually a really big wake-up call. They realized her behavior isn't just to immediate family and isn't normal to outsiders. She would do the same behavior to people she isn't close to, not just her parents and her sister. Now my parents are telling me that I can't get her food and water and she needs to do things by herself, and they are forcing her to be independent. They've been actually disciplining her when she's toxic. She's not taking it well. She's been screaming at me even though it's not my fault, and I haven't done anything. It's a bit late, but I'm glad they're finally putting their foot down and no longer looking at her as the perfect little angel who can do no wrong. I just hope they actually stick to it. You and me both, OP. Entitled Uncle calls me transphobic and ignorant for alienating his trans daughter after I defended my mother from his tantrum because he had to move the date of her party because the date overlapped with the party my mother had pre-planned. This just happened a few hours ago and everything is still fresh due to this happening through text. This will be a long post. Get snacks. For some background info, almost all my mom's siblings, except the two youngest, have always had a problem with her, whether it's one thing or another. It's always them versus my mom. They call my mother as an attention seeker because she's always been sickly and has had different health issues / scares. Due to this, my mom's therapist has told her to keep her distance and to block them. Because they are blocked, my mom can't see nor read messages in both private and group chats to keep her mental health good and stress-free. Stress worsens some of her health problems, so she was told by her doctor to keep her stress levels down. My mom has already told my grandmother, as well as one of her two sisters, weeks prior that she wanted to throw a small get-together, since we, 3 of her kids, are all born within the same 2 weeks, male 24, female 13, and I. My grandmother has already agreed to be at our house next Saturday. When Charles had asked Grandma to use her house for the party, Grandma agreed, having forgotten she already agreed to plans with us that same Saturday. My mom had reminded my grandmother that next weekend is the get-together, and it was going to be on that Saturday. Grandmother, now realizing that she messed up, went and texted Charles to see if he could move the party for Sunday instead, and initially, he agreed to move it. The problem starts when my grandma proceeds to tell him that she was going to be at our house to celebrate our birthdays. Once Charles found out the reason for his plans being pushed a day, he went to start talking crap on the group chat. Again, my mom has him specifically blocked, and she deleted and reported the group chat to not be involved, but she forgot to leave said group chat. It still shows that she's in it. This will be relevant later. Seeing my dad starting to talk back had me firing back at Charles for mentioning my mom and calling her an attention seeker and whatnot. He then starts going on how it's always about my mom and that his daughter only wanted to spend time with family, and because of her, everyone always has to change their plans to please my mom. The conversation then drifted into Charles telling me that I'm alienating his daughter and being weird with her, and his reasons are because she's trans? Pre-transition, my cousin would follow my sisters and I around, and sometimes this would happen when we would go to our shared room to change outfits for parties at our house, and we would kick said cousin out. For my sisters and I, we don't change in front of our parents, let alone our brother. So obviously, we won't change in front of our younger, then boy cousin. There were many different things this cousin would do that resulted in us keeping them at a distance. We would always be respectful, and sometimes we would just have small talk, but never tried to befriend them. They were very weird for some of the things they would say to my little sister. Charles took this as us alienating her because she is different from us, being trans. But in reality, it was many different little things that just rubbed us the wrong way. Examples: talking crap behind our backs, criticizing what we wore or our makeup, copying everything my little sister would do to try to start drama with my little sister. So clearly we didn't fancy her. In the group chat messages, I mentioned the part of their kid coming into our room when we tried to change. Charles said that I was weird for visualizing them in an intimate way about a situation with a young kid, and his wife said that I should be ashamed of myself for my thoughts and behaviors. They kept berating me and calling me ignorant, like 7 times in that entire convo. The conversation then turned to me alienating my cousin again because she's trans, and that I was transphobic because I brought up the issue that happened before she transitioned, and that after that I, as well as my sisters, didn't want to be around her, and we clearly had some feelings about it, and that we should educate ourselves to stop making up excuses for being ignorant. Charleston states that I have internalized transphobia. I'm a biological woman, so me having internalized transphobia does not align. Math is not mathing! Then again, he said that I have a lot to unpack, and that, yet again, ignorance is a choice that I'm choosing to take. He kept saying throughout the dispute that he was going to block my parents, sisters, and I, and me, for being the person I am, told him to do what he needs to do to keep peace. If he wants to block me, then do so. To do whatever he wants to do, whether that is to call me transphobic or ignorant or keep himself happy. Just to keep himself happy, and did let him sleep at night to do so. My last text in this group chat was, and I quote, "If you want to take it as it is, go ahead and make peace with yourself. I'm done arguing with a brick wall." My parents, sisters, and I have all agreed to go no contact with Charles and his family and no contact with Grandma. TLDR, entitled Uncle calls me transphobic and ignorant for alienating his trans daughter after I defended my mother from his tantrum, because he had to move the date of her party because the date overlapped with a party my mother had pre-planned. Looks like we've reached the end of today's video, but fret not, I'll be back tomorrow with more Reddit stories just for you. Want to get notified of the next video? Tap that bell icon. Want to subscribe? Tap the button, it's completely free. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and until next time, catch you later, my Chibi Dominators.